Un aplauso más para Tegan and Sara, por favor. Welcome to the show. Please have a seat. Thanks a lot for being here. So you're Tegan.
I'm Tegan,
yeah. Yeah, you're Sara, of course. I imagine that always is a little bit confused for the people that met you for the first time.
Yeah, I think there's people who've known us our whole lives who still get us confused. I think that's laziness, though. I don't think we looked at.
I mean, the hair right now, it's helping.
Very similar. It helps, yeah.
No, but it helps.
But it helps because there's the Bouffant here in the front. Tegan also has a lot more tattoos, and she talks a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be.
So if we were at a dinner party,
yeah,
exactly.
So you're from Calgary in Alberta, in Canada?
We grew up there, yeah. Sarah and I were raised in Calgary, Alberta, and then we both moved to Vancouver. But now Sarah lives in New York. She's more East Coast, and I'm still very West Coast. So.
And what about other brothers and sisters, or?
No, my parents stopped after us.
Ah, really?
Yeah, we were too good.
Yeah, they were like, okay.
Yeah, too good. I mean, you don't want to mess it up. What if you have more children and they're not as good as us? You know, that was their thought.
And what about your family? Was a music family?
They liked music a lot. Like our family, we were very obsessed with like Bruce Springsteen and U2 and Cyndi Lauper. So we grew up with like a lot of music in the house.
That's enough.
Yeah, they were very supportive. Like when we started to express interest in playing instruments, they were really excited by it. But they themselves were not musicians. So.
No. But I think they were delighted that we had that. Like they were initially very excited at the prospect of like dragging us out to play for their friends at parties and in the garage. Not when we got into punk music, but initially they were very excited.
So you start playing since kids?
Yeah, we were teenagers, you know, like 14, 15. But we played piano as kids. Yeah.
Because of your parents, like class.
They tell us that we asked to play.
Okay.
They could be lying to us. Maybe they forced us. I don't remember. They tricked us.
You have to be musicians. And then when did you realize that the thing was going serious?
I mean, after we graduated high school, we told ourselves we would take like a year to play music, and we didn't think of it as being like a professional decision. Like we weren't going to be musicians for the rest of our lives, but we thought, we'll just try it for like a year. And I think probably about 5 or 6 years after that, we started to say, like, I guess we're musicians. I guess this is what we do. You know, like we never went back to school, and we certainly didn't have any sort of tremendous success right off the bat, but we had enough of a little bit of success that it would sort of keep us going, and then we'd have a little bit more, and okay, let's keep going, and let's make another record. And so it was probably in our mid-20s, that we started to saying, like, okay, this is what we're doing for our lives.
That was happening in Canada?
Yeah, we were
still
in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when did you start to hit the U.S.? Because it's a tough market.
It is a tough market. Sarah and I were lucky. We had a leg up. I mean, being twins, there was something that made us really stand out, from the beginning. So we signed a record deal really early, and almost immediately they put us out on the road. We toured with acts like Ryan Adams and Rufus Wainwright and Neil Young. And
wow.
So, yeah, it was like... It started up here,
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was very cool. So, so we've been lucky. America is definitely a difficult nut to crack, if you will. But we've been down there now, touring so much that it's become like a second home. And I found the U.S. audience really embraced us very early. So, but it's definitely difficult, and you have to work a lot. And we spent most of our 20s, in the back of a van. So,
and. At the first time, you were named by another name as a band, am I right?
Yeah, we had a band in high
Yeah.
school. We had a band called Plunk, and it was a kind of a joke because we wanted to be punk rock, but we weren't really that punk, so we were light punk.
Yeah.
So we called it Plunk.
Yeah, we didn't have a consistent drummer, so sometimes we were like doing punk music without the drums, So we.
It's
were
not that
like,
punk.
It wasn't that punk, or maybe there was something really punk about not having a drummer.
Exactly.
We were unconventional.
You never know.
We never know. Yeah. Well, I mean, now I listen back to that, and I'm glad we branched out in terms of our, the genre. Like, I liked punk music, but I think that we ended up finding more of a niche in pop music,
Yeah, I get it. And now you're living in Canada or in the U.S.?
We both spend most of our time in the States, but we still have homes in Canada. Our family is there. We're very close to them. So.
Yeah.
And what about the music industry in Canada?
I mean, it's very vibrant, There's, like, obviously a lot of really amazing Canadian bands that...
Are they still embrace you?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, it's a really great music scene, and we have very big audiences there, and great venues. I mean, it's a good country for music. It's very
There's a lot of support
supportive.
from the government too. It's not just the music industry, but very different from the United States. In Canada, when we were first starting out, we were able to apply for grants to get money and funding to do little projects here and there. And so there was a real encouragement from both, the industry and the government and our parents financially, to continue to go. Not ridiculous amounts of money, not like what people sometimes
some
imagine.
Kind of support.
But support,
that's
a little
enough.
bit of encouragement. And it really, it helped us get some of our very first international tours, some of our first music videos. So those were really important steps that we needed to take. And if we hadn't had the support of the Canadian government or the industry, I don't know if we would have managed, or we would have ended up racking up debt,
And right now you have tons of Canadian bands touring all around the world.
Yeah.
Hitting like the number ones, winning Grammys everywhere.
It's really quite amazing. When we first started touring in America 12 years ago, it wasn't like that. So it's really exciting to see so many Canadian bands getting outside of Canada and having so much support internationally. It seems like when we started to tour, they would always say, "Oh, you're Canadian, you're so nice." That's what Canadians were known for. But now it's like, "Oh, Arcade Fire, Stars."
Yeah,
or, you're like, "Yeah, totally." Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber, yeah. You cannot forget.
No, you cannot forget him.
And talking about that different kinds of music or genres or artists, you have been associated and have worked with several kind of projects from David Guetta to Death Cab for Cutie, something like that. Which could be your best formula or your best way to, approach these different kind of people, because you are not only in one basket, you're like everywhere, thanks of that work.
We always love to do the collaboration stuff and work with other bands and tour with other bands. I think we've noticed the most success has come from when we work with electronic music artists. So when we collaborated with David Guetta and Tiesto and Morgan Page, those seem to be the ones that are a little bit easier. They get out faster, the songs, because they're being played in clubs, but other people are playing them, and they're being played at festivals, and so we've experienced a lot of success
in the dancing.
Yeah,
actually.
in the dance world. I don't experience myself as successful when I dance, but in the dance community, we're doing okay. Yeah.
Are you sure you're not that good?
I'm not that good. I recently danced.
You got a good shuffle.
I have a shuffle going. I keep some boundaries on my dancing, because when I let loose, I've seen video, and it's not going to make us any more successful than we are. There's nothing that needs to be unleashed there yet.
Well, I dance as the guy of Praise You from Fatboy Slim. Have you ever seen the video?
Yeah.
So I cannot, I cannot criticize anything around it. And then you have worked with a lot of producers, musicians. How's the work in that way for you? To invite someone to collaborate with you in that way.
It's always very exciting. It's almost kind of the best part of being a duo, is that we're able to constantly change up who we play with and who we work with. And we've worked with some incredible producers over the last 10 years. So, and each one brings a whole new set of skills to the table. Sarah and I like to really micromanage and get in there and do a lot of things, but each producer brings their own flavor to the record. And, like this newest record we're about to put out, the producer, Greg Kirsten, he'd worked with the Shins, and he'd also worked with, Kesha and Kelly Clarkson. So it was
very diverse.
It was really diverse. So, that's the best part of finding a really eclectic producer, someone who has worked all over. They really, add something to the project. So,
well, are you aware about the Mexican and the Latin American fans?
We are.
Yeah.
We experienced it yesterday at the festival that we played. So enthusiastic. Like if the average festival we do, the fans are like a 7. In Mexico, it's like 11. It's like off the charts. It's crazy.
Pueden dejarse escuchar un poco para Tegan and Sara.
So excited.
Here they are. Let me go to a commercial break.
Maybe what you said was, "I'll pay you $10 later if you scream really loud for them." I don't know what you said.
No, I don't have that amount of money.
Okay.
Bueno, vamos a un corte, regresamos. Tegan and Sara están aquí en la casa de sesiones. No se vayan, regresamos.